Spending. Our government is spend crazy. And it all started with the Republicans back in the end of last year, 2008, when they passed that $700 billion stimulus bill. That gave the Democrats cover to pass the $787 billion stimulus bill that Obama passed. But here's the situation. Here's where we stand right now. The federal deficit, for the first time ever, has topped $1 trillion. $1 trillion. Now think about that. That's what? 3, 6, 9, 12, 13 digits. A 1 followed by 12 zeros. That is what our current federal deficit is for this year. Now think about that. In 1 year. And it's estimated that by the end of the fiscal year, which is going to end in October, that it's going to be $1.84 trillion, almost $2 trillion deficit. We're spending almost $2 trillion more than we're taking in. And Obama wants to add health care on top of that, cap and trade, all of these various bills that he wants to pass, and now he's talking about a second stimulus plan. Folks, here's the effect of all of this deficit spending. First off, we're having to borrow money like crazy from our lenders. China, various other countries who are financing our debt by buying treasury bills, treasury bonds. The interest rate on those bonds is having to be pushed upward to make the investment more attractive because China and others are becoming so concerned about the level of debt we have that they're not wanting to buy any more of our debt. And so we're having to raise interest rates to get them to buy more of our debt. Now what that's going to do is that is going to drive the value of our dollar down. And everything's going to become more expensive. In addition, as we continue with this deficit spending and the printing of more money and the putting into the economy of all this money, pretty quick inflation is going to become an issue. And inflation is going to set in. And then what's going to happen is the Fed's going to have to raise the interest rate to slow down the economy again. And we're going to be back to the days of Carter where mortgages were 13, 14, 15, 16% and higher. So we've got inflationary issues. We've got all these, the devaluation of the dollar, all of this debt that's having to be bought that we're going to have to pay back. I mean, think about it, America. We are, in essence, we are putting ourselves into debt to our enemies. Communist China is not our friend. But yet we're putting ourselves in debt to them at a rate of billions and billions of dollars. So what do? We've got to stop spending. We've got to slow down our rate of spending. The new appropriation bills that are going through Congress right now, they tried to reduce the growth of the appropriation bills. The Republicans did. The Democrats voted it down. They wanted it to grow and continue to grow. Right now, 50% of the Department of Agriculture's budget goes toward food stamps. Right now, I think it is, if I remember right, about 60% of our federal budget is entitlement programs. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out you can't keep going that way and balance a budget. You can't keep going that way and have fiscal responsibility. We've got to draw a line. We've got to say, we've got to slow down spending. Now, Obama wants to come in and tax everybody that makes over $350,000 a year for his health care plan. Well, guess what? That's not the rich, folks. It's small business owners. And they're the engine that drives our economy. Well, guess what? As they have to pay higher taxes, your prices are going to go up. And as your prices go up, you're going to want to buy less. Or else, consequently, they're going to have to lay off employees, which is going to drive the unemployment rate up. America, what we have got to do is restore some sense of fiscal soundness, some sense of fiscal sensibility back into our Congress. We've got to let them know it's not okay to spend money like drunken sailors. It's not okay to reach into our pocket and steal money from us just because they want to spend. You know, there's an idea called the 51% goal. And that is, if you can get 51% of Americans beholden to the federal government for money, whoever's in charge will have a built-in constituency. We can't allow that to happen. We've got to bring back some sanity to our fiscal spending habits. We've got to get our budget in line. You know, they always talk about Bill Clinton's balanced budgets of the 1990s. But I want you to think about something. The Republicans came into power in, 94, I believe, or 96. Can't remember off the top of my head. But for the 2 years prior to the Republicans coming into power, Bill Clinton never mentioned balancing the budget. It wasn't an issue for him. It was once the Republicans came into office, good, solid conservatives under Newt Gingrich's leadership with the contract with America that balanced the budget. They forced him into balancing the budget. And it gave us the sound economy of the 90s. We have got to get back to lower taxes and lower spending. It has been historically proven over and over and over again. If you lower the tax rate, more money comes into the Treasury. John Kennedy knew that. Reagan knew that. Bush knew that. I want you to think for a moment. Bush had to fight 2 wars on terror, all of this type of situation, and he cut taxes, had tax cuts, and more money came into the Treasury. You know, after 9/11, we should have had a financial meltdown. But we didn't because Bush lowered taxes. So, America, you've got to get out there and you've got to encourage your congressmen. Not just encourage, demand that your congressmen and senators quit spending. They've got to cut back the rate of growth. Even if we had just 0% growth for next fiscal year, that would help tremendously. But we need this new stimulus package like we need a hole in the head. We've got to cut the taxes so that businesses can do business. This cap and trade is insanity. This is going to drive your electrical rates, your utility rates through the roof. We've got to deregulate some of the craziness that businesses have to do, the thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars they have to spend to make sure they're regulatorily correct. We've got to allow business to do business. That's what made this country strong. Now, that doesn't mean they can't be environmentally responsible. That doesn't mean that they can't be socially responsible and be good citizens, pay their fair share of taxes. But at the same time, if you overtax those who create wealth and try to give it to those who don't create wealth, it's not going to do any good. Let us cut taxes, slow down the spending, and you'll see America's fiscal situation start to recover.